Hello cutters, welcome to another CONVOS with Clenergy. You're here with Sean and Yuneska Harris, who's head of our engineering department. Welcome Yuneska.
Thank you so much, Sean, for having me here.
No worries, welcome aboard. We're going to discuss some serious topics today.
Oh wow.
It's actually quite serious. I wrote a poem to kick off the discussions.
Oh wow. Okay.
This is the first time actually saying it out loud, so you're going to have to work with me.
So it's your first poem ever?
I only wrote it 3 minutes ago, so...
Okay, not even when you were a kid?
Oh, no,
Writing poems for your mom?
No, I used to do that.
Okay.
All right, so it starts like this.
Okay.
Remember the 1st of September, the confusion, the standards, whatnot. Cutters must know the reason why the changes are needed and shouldn't rather be forgot. You like that?
I love it.
Do you know what it's from? It's my take on V for Vendetta. You know that film, Guy Fawkes?
Oh, okay,
Yeah,
okay.
yeah. 1st of September.
Okay, so
what's happening? Because the 1st of September was in the past.
Yeah, now it's in the past. Now it's not the 1st of September. Now it's the 1st of October.
Okay.
So.
But then I heard it was the 1st of May. So what's going on?
It's very confusing. So I have to say that the first time that I read the announcement from the building code and I tried to put everything together, it was a little bit confusing. But I think that we have a clear path now to follow. So from until the 1st of October, the building code and also the Clean Energy Council, they have made the recommendation of installers to follow the old version of the standard or the new version of the standard. However, mixing and matching the application of both on one project is not allowed. So you have the freedom now, when you have a project, you have the freedom to decide, okay, I can use the old version of the standard or I can use the new version of the standard. But you cannot mix and match conditions from one, roofs and definition for the other. So that is more or less clear now.
All right, it's not so clear to me. Okay. So let's unpack this. So just for the cutters who have been living under the rock for the last 12 months, I suppose, there's been some major changes through the building standards, and some of those affect solar and the installation of mounting products on commercial, residential, ground mount systems as well, I would imagine, are affected. Okay, and can you just tell, what was the reason for the change as a starting point?
What is the reason? Well, you know, as technology advances and as we have more data and studies available, these kind of things change, every now and then. The Australian standards has been around for 100 years. I think that just in the last 50 years ago, they released as a standard. It's a guideline to guide the design of construction in general.
Okay.
So, and I think it was just on 2011, they decided to release a section for solar panels. And that section was just 1 or 2 pages, and they describe very briefly how we design these kind of things. But the reality is that back then, they didn't have any real data available because there were many solar panels installed in the country. So they put a bunch of safety factors in the first version, and they say, well, let's see how this goes and how these systems will react with the weather conditions in the country. So, and they focus, there are areas in the countries where they put heavily safety factors, like the cyclonic areas with region C and D. And now they have more data, and they say, oh, now we can refine this process, not just for solar, but for everything in the construction industry, for every design, and let's release a new version.
Okay.
So
when you say they got more data, what sort of data have they got that they didn't have before?
Well, as I mentioned it before, they didn't know how the solar panels installed off a roof, they will behave with the weather conditions. So they didn't know much about how the wind pressures will affect the solar panels, the fixing points, and the roof structure. So now they gather real meteorological data that says, okay, these are the real weather patterns occurring in this part of the country, and now we can make an assumption, an assessment, and say, okay, for example, in region C and D, before they put a bunch of safety factors and something called uncertainty factors, because they didn't know how the cyclones will affect the installations and the whole building industry. So now they are getting rid of these uncertainty factors, and they are introducing a climate change multiplier in this region. And I believe that in these regions we will see a lot of improvement when we compare with the previous version of the standard.
Okay, so this sounds like a positive thing.
Yeah, it is a positive thing.
But how come people are complaining?
That is because now we have more data, and yes, we can refine our design and process, but we can also need to think of general public safety, right?
Okay.
So they found out with this data that, for example, there are areas on the roof that they get more impact, or they are affected more than other, for example, corner zones.
Yeah.
So the real impact, I think, in the industry is that with certain conditions, the corner zones in our installations double the size in this new version of the standard. And I think that what we hear in the industry is that, yes, people are complaining because they are going to spend more time off the roof. The budgets are going to increase because they will have bigger corner zones under certain conditions.
Yeah. Okay, so is it just corner zones, or is there other things that are changing?
There are a bunch of things. Like how I see this is that we have invisible changes in the standards that, probably installers or, general public won't perceive, because they are, just calculations, coefficients on those things, and there are visible changes. One of the visible changes is the wind map. You will see that the wind map in Australia has been reorganized, and now we have new wind regions. For example, we have wind region B1 and B2, so it's a new wind region. And the whole thing was, again, reorganized based on this data. They know that there are certain weather patterns that affect wind region B1. They are completely different from wind region B2. And for that reason, so these are the visible changes. And the roofs and definitions, how we define roofs and definition now is different how we defined it before. And we will see, these are the visible changes. The wind map and the roofs and definition is where we will see, okay, this is how it affects my installation.
Okay. Okay, so it's not just roof zone definitions, it's also wind regions, terrain categories, are they changing?
Terrain categories changes. Okay. So with the old version of the standard, they had something, a terrain category 1.5. And 1.5, to be honest, it was a great area in the standard. So it was confusing because we really didn't know how to apply it. So in this new version of the standard, they say, okay, let's get rid of the ambiguity, get rid of terrain category 1.5, and they say all places close to a water body, they will be defined as terrain category 1. So now we have a clear path and say, okay, if I am close to the beach, a river, a lake, this will be defined as terrain category 1. If I am in a very exposed area, for example, we are installing on Melbourne CBD, you will imagine, oh, Melbourne CBD is a really dense area. How come this will be terrain category 1? But if you are installing a 300-meter building high, when you know that there is nothing around, it's a very exposed open area, you will say, okay, I have a clear guideline. This is terrain category 1. We have a terrain category 2.5 now. So this is a really positive thing, because in the past, this regional towns that they are in developing, but they are in the middle of nowhere, but they are not as dense as Melbourne CBD or Sydney or Brisbane, but they are still in developing. Before, it was really hard to put them on a category. Now we have Terraine Category 2.5 that this will allow us to design with more efficiently, because we have a place for these little towns or regional towns that are in the middle of nowhere.
Okay.
So that is, I will say that is positive.
Okay. So Cutters, one thing for sure, changes are coming and they're affecting everybody. If the Cutters want to find out how it's going to affect their projects, where do they go? Who do they talk to? What's the best avenue for them? Can they contact you? Do they contact our team?
Well, yeah, we have been doing a lot of training to inform everyone, because we know that this will affect the whole industry, and we know our customers to have a comfortable conversation with the end customers when it comes to present budget and the installation conditions. So whoever wants to just know more about this and train their staff, they can just come to us, and we will provide a private session for them just to understand this, to make questions, and to help them to explain this to other people, because it's really, we are human beings, for us it's really hard to understand changes and digest it.
Yeah, I mean, everyone hates change, right?
Yeah.
I hate change. I won't get into that. But, it sounds like there's some positives and some negatives. It's just, it sounds like most people are focused so far on the change, which they deem to be a negative, because it makes the job harder,
Yeah.
So if they wanted to register their interest, they go to the email, the engineering?
The engineering email at clenergy.com.au.
Cool. So once again, Cutters, if you want to register your interest for some training with Yuneska and our team to get clarity on what's coming, contact engineering@clenergy.com.au. Okay? All right. Now, you mentioned that there's been some recent announcements by the Building Standards organisation and also Clean Energy Council about what they are effectively guiding everybody to do.
Yeah.
Can you throw those dates at me again, and what are we dealing with?
So until the 1st of October, installers should follow the old standard or the new standard. So you for your project, a specific project, you can follow one or the other.
Okay, so till the 1st of October 2022,
Yeah.
installers can make a decision.
Yeah.
Okay, so if they come to us with a project, are we going to, because it sounds like in some cases it's going to be better to follow the old standards, and in some cases, better being less material required. Yeah. Some cases it's better to follow the new standards.
Yeah.
So is that something we can help them to determine before now and then? Or?
Yeah, that will be our first approach with each project. We will assess what is the most cost-effective way to approach it. Like, you come to me with a project, depending on the project conditions, where it's located, if it's close to the water, the building dimensions, because the building dimensions will define the rules and definitions. So I will say, okay, it's better, we will advise the client, it's better to use this standard over this standard, these are the reasons, and this will be cost effective because of this, and that.
Okay,
so
but that's only for the next,
that is the second part of the announcement.
Take me there.
Till the 1st of May 2023, you will be allowed to use one standard or the other. No mix and match is allowed. And then from the 1st of May 2023 onwards, just the latest one will be allowed to be used.
Okay. So what about our let's say they're using a generic certification.
Okay.
One of our install guides.
Yeah.
Are we going to have 2 install guides? Or?
Yes. So that will be, or that was our decision. Okay. We will allow this freedom to everyone. So if you want to use our all generic certificates with the old version of the standard, by all means you can use it, because the Clean Energy Council, the building code is allowing. So why it's silly for us to say no. But for the 1st of October, we will be releasing all new generic certificates based on the new standard. And we have been working a lot on internal product improvement. So this whole package will be released by the 1st of October.
Okay. What about EasyQuote?
And EasyQuote will be updated by the 1st of October.
So EasyQuote
with new standard.
It will only be the new standard?
Yes.
We can't give it an option on
Well,
EasyQuote?
we are working on both options.
Okay.
Yeah, it's a possibility.
I think it'll be wise, yeah.
Yeah. So
this is real world, real time
Yeah.
product development.
Yeah. So we are working on that, discussing this idea with our IT manager and the developer, just to put a drop down list there, and the installers will be able just to decide, okay, which version of the generic certificate you want to use.
Yep.
Old standard or new standard, and then based on that you will create your bill of material and your budget.
Okay. And then 1st of May?
1st of May,
That's it.
We get rid of all stuff. It will be like New Year Eve, get rid of that, and we will be following the new version of the standard.
Unless they extend it again.
Well, I don't think so. Please don't do it. We had a pretty good extension because the standard was released in July last year. And usually you have 1 year to adjust.
Okay, so they've actually given...
Yeah, they are giving a lot.
Almost 2 years.
Almost 2 years.
Wow.
So I think
it's a big change effectively, right?
Yeah.
And this wouldn't just be driven by solar. Obviously other industries and other, they're all feeling the pain, I suppose.
Yeah, it's not just, Terraine Category and all those things will be affected by the construction industry, you know. So we are really a small part of the whole, the big picture.
Okay.
So we feel the pain, but everyone is feeling the same pain and even worse.
Sure. All right. Okay. Look, I think I've heard everything I need to hear.
Okay, so, well...
Do I know everything now?
Well, I believe that yes, you know our position, you know some of the changes, and you know that from the 1st of May 2023, all stuff will be removed, and we will start fresh with the new version of the standard.
That's good. And more importantly, now I know where the cutters need to go, which is email engineering@clenergy.com.au, register your interest. Someone from Yuneska's team or Yuneska herself will get back to you, and we can organise training, information, PowerPoints, anything you need to smooth the transition.
Yeah.
Thanks again, Yuneska.
No,
really
a pleasure.
appreciate it, and I'll see you on the next one.
See ya.
Thanks, cutters.
Bye.
Ciao.